Welcome back to the Authenticity Calling podcast. I'm your host, Ralitza Spassova, and today we have a very special guest, Dr. Chrissie Ott. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Ralitza.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. And just earlier today, we had kind of a coffee chat. We got together and we decided that it would be such a great way to introduce something amazing that you're doing that's coming up in November. So I just want to introduce Dr. Chrissie Ott is a physician coach. Among her physician practice, she actually works in clinical medicine. She practices clinical medicine and does a ton of things there, but she's also the leader for the Physician Coach Summit that's coming up this year. So, Chrissie, can you tell us a little bit more, maybe first about yourself and then jumping into that summit? Because that sounds like an amazing option from all the different conferences that are going on. This sounds especially tailored to physicians for their wellness, which is really exciting.
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity. So, I'm Chrissie Ott. I am a dual boarded med peds physician. I'm in Portland, Oregon. And I have been a physician coach for a number of years now after leading well-being work and coming to the conclusion that coaching was kind of the secret sauce that really moves the needle for getting clinicians through this sand trap we call burnout and back to themselves so that they can actually dive deep and discover what their gifts are that they want to share with the world and how to do that in a way that is sustainable and not harming to them. So that is some work that I love, but I am an Enneagram type 3, which means that I like to have a lot of different things going on at one time. And one of the things that has come into my realm is being the leader of the Physician Coaching Summit. This is the 6th year that the summit has been in existence. Its founder is Kathy Steppen. Dr. Kathy Steppen is a pediatrician based in Alaska and the founder of the Institute for Physician Wellness. So Kathy has been leading retreats and courses on burnout and doing one-on-one coaching for many years. And she formed this space in the early pandemic times. It met virtually the first year and then in person the second year in Ojai. I have been going for the last 3 years. And I have to tell you that as far as retreats slash conferences slash summits go, I have been so profoundly inspired and impacted by this one in particular. So what an honor it was when Kathy actually asked me if I was interested in taking the helm from her as she was feeling like it's complete for me. I need to move on, but I really want to pass it on to somebody who feels as passionately about this space as I do.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
That is such an honor and such a beautiful offer to physicians. And I just love the way that you described the impact and the power of coaching when it comes to really uplifting. And it doesn't just support the physician. I'm an Enneagram 3 as well, so I know what you mean about the achiever likes to take it all on. But for people who are listening that don't know what that means, the Enneagram is just a way to get to know yourself through the different choices that we make, and it's from 9 different types that you get to kind of assess yourself and your actions and your priorities and what's really important to you. But that's just one of many of those kind of personality assessments that we get to learn more about ourselves. And then we can really navigate life in a way from that space of awareness. What are my habits? What are my patterns? And how am I choosing to go about life? And one thing I can say about the threes is we tend to take so much on because we're achievers. And I don't know if you're a wing 2 or 4, but I'm also a helper. I'm a wing 2. Probably you are too. And so, we tend to override our own needs. We tend to, put ourselves in the back burner for the sake of achievement and or helping other people. And so it's one of those things that I think a lot of physicians have those patterns. And if we don't catch them and if we're not aware of them, it can very quickly lead to burnout, to self-sacrifice, to self-sabotage. And, that martyr syndrome kicks in and, then we end up on the back. But the truth of coaching is, and what I've learned through the past 5 years of really, deepening in many other areas of coaching, is that I realize that if I am bringing a quarter of myself to anything that I do, whether it's parenting, whether it's in my relationship, my intimate relationships, my friendships, my even my coaching. If I'm feeling off, I will take the time to center myself and really get into that place of uplifting my energy, or I'll reschedule, because I know that when I bring myself to my clients or my work or anything that I do and I'm burnt out, I'm actually spreading that burnout. And we don't typically talk about this, and especially not in the physician realm, because it's a little bit more in the quantum. It's more in that energetic space. It's more, outside of the very tangible, crystallized medicine that we typically talk about. But it is such an important piece of the puzzle that I'd like to remind physicians, especially if you're bringing your burnout into the clinic, you're actually projecting and sharing that energy with your patients and with people that you see on an everyday basis. And then you take that home to your kids and your family. And so, not to project blame or shame or any of that, absolutely not, but just to be able to meet ourselves with some compassion and some grace, and just to recognize that you are important, and that putting yourself first actually does service to every single person that you are blessed to spend time with, that you actually get to interact with and you get to support. But you get to support them from a place of really bringing that good energy, that energy and that joy and that initial, intuitive space of like, I want to be in medicine to help people, not to burn myself out, not to self-sacrifice, not to come last on the list. And so it's just such a beautiful space to remember that and be reminded of that, and to really be able to come together with other physicians who have put themselves first, and recognize the value of putting themselves first. Because I think that's first and foremost. We have to remove that sort of shame and guilt around putting yourself first, because I think that's very, very common in the physician world. And so I wonder if you want to speak to that, about your journey, kind of, going from the three wing to, I assume that you had a place of burnout in your life, and then you found coaching. That's typically most people's story. So I'm wondering if you can speak a little bit to that first.
I think that self-sacrifice is a space that's really vulnerable for confusion. And when we sacrifice ourselves beyond what is healthy or sustainable, then we are actually losing momentum rather than gaining momentum with whatever endeavor it is that we're trying to work toward. So there is a balance. If we all put ourselves first all the time, we would be running around in a narcissistic crazy house. So there is balance there. There's absolutely a time to prioritize the needs of others, our child, our partner, our patients. But checking in deeply and regularly, and sometimes with a thought partner like a coach, helps to keep that in balance. So the answer is not all this or all that, but really finding that middle way, and like the work that you do, finding it also through our somatic check-ins. Like, does this feel wholesome and good and true right now? Mm. The summit itself, I think, is a sort of a macro level check-in for people who are in coaching, physicians who are coaching aligned or coaching curious. I don't have a stringent criteria. You don't have to check off a box that says I'm a ICF certified coach. No, there are quite a few people who belong in the space who might not meet all of those criteria. Most of the people who attend historically are female, not all, but all are welcome. And most are in a coaching space in one way or another. The speakers alone are profound, but we kind of take this summit as an opportunity to blend conference vibe with retreat vibe, with networking vibe. So some of the most brilliant takeaways that I have had in the past 3 to 4 years at this conference are the new friendships, and that feeling of like, oh my gosh, here's my people. Here are these incredible humans doing this heart-centered, smart work, doing it in academics, doing it entrepreneurially, doing it in institutions, doing it in all of these different spaces, doing it in the field of health and wellness coaching, or business coaching, or spiritual coaching combined with business coaching, as my co-host Vanessa Calderon is offering. And then while we're together, there's so many places for us to just rest, which is why we have it at like a gorgeous wellness resort and spa, so we can eat affirming food and have downtime and like wear the terry cloth robe around and like go to the spa and also then meet back up together. So as we were talking this morning, some of the things I'm most excited about outside of the speakers this year are that the very first night we're together, we have a full moon. And Dr. Rashmi Shram, who is an amazing coach and meditation teacher in her own right, is going to lead us in a yoga nidra in the desert under the full moon sky the first night that we arrive.
Wow, what an initiation.
I just feel like it is an initiation. Like it is not. This is not your father's conference. This is
Right.
not your father's Oldsmobile, right? We take it to a whole other level. So several of the workshops are about, somatic work and deep rest. The second night we're together, we have a private sound bath with one of the sound healers from the resort and spa. And then the third night, we are going to let it all go with a big dance party with just freedom of movement and joyful movement and togetherness. I have this secret fantasy. I haven't actually figured it all out yet, but I have this secret fantasy that maybe there'll be like a little piece of choreography in there so that we can also just like do some coordinated unison movement, because there's
Yeah.
so much beauty and power when we get to like move in unison. I say this as a former professional dancer. Like I miss moving in
Wow.
unison. And so this is like, it's my party. I get to plan it the way I want to. I'm so excited.
Well, that's so awesome. I wonder if you could plan a flash mob. I know it's like not super
Yes,
surprising for anyone
exactly.
that's listening to this, but this actually happened at, I work for Doctors of BC, and it very quickly has grown to an organization of over 400 people. And they did a flash mob at the last all team conference in person. It was the last in person conference we had, actually. I unfortunately had to fly out, so I missed it. I was there for the whole event except that very last hour, and I was just so sad to have missed it. But flash mobs are powerful. So
And
yeah,
what was the music for the flash mob?
can't even remember. I think it was some like Taylor Swift song, some song that everyone knows. It's on the radio. Yeah.
So much fun.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun.
So
I'm
much
really
fun.
curious from your experience of physicians that are also coaches. Do you feel that because I find that a lot of coaches, do their own sort of transformational work. Coaches have other coaches, they have their own space that they go to for support. But do you find physicians more than other coaches take the time to actually prioritize themselves and go to retreats and do sort of things like this for themselves, or do you find that it's a little bit less common?
I have probably a great non-physician coach counterpoint to compare it to, but I think it's variable. And I think that, there's a lot of competition for both our time and our investment dollars. So when we're thinking about investing in ourselves and our own grounding and resolve and renewal, we have many options. And there are few options, I think, that are quite this intimate because it's a pretty small conference. It's like you have a feel for everybody in the room.
Mm,
Um, but one thing that physician coaches have sometimes going for them is that they have CME money or professional development funds that they can use for events like this.
awesome. Can you
And
say
that,
more about that for people that are not
yeah,
aware?
you know, it feels like relief to me when I can use my continuing medical education funds for something that fills my cup on both a personal and professional level. That it doesn't necessarily need to be the American Academy of Pediatrics or the American College of Physicians that I attend. No shade, I love academic conferences too. Mine is usually the American Conference on Physician Health or the International Conference on Physician Health that I also love to go to, but it's much more conferencey and not nearly as retreat and renewal as this particular thing can be.
That's
And we
amazing that
can
you
use
break.
our CME dollars for that.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry to interrupt. It's amazing that you've been able to bridge and create that, because I know there's a lot of places that physicians might go for a retreat to take care of themselves. There isn't that option of CME credits. So that's actually the way that I've envisioned sort of, creating the space for physician support in the future as well. 'Cause right now
Yes.
it's one of those things, like it's a conflict of interest because I work with physicians and doctors in BC, but that's always been my vision, to create a retreat and to create a space where it really bridges all of that, spirituality, medicine, healthcare, wellness, coaching, all of it.
Yes.
And I love that that is such a beautiful option here, that you don't have to choose. You don't have to
It's
choose.
all part of it because it's integrated. Ralitza, you must come. You must come. We will make it
I
happen.
feel so called. I feel so, so called to come. I really, really do. And I mean, the Mystics, I'm sure half of them are already signed up. So it would be such a beautiful place to all come together.
Quite
We
a
have
few of
a
our
group.
mystics are coming, and quite a few are speaking, I must say, as well.
Amazing,
Oh my gosh,
amazing.
that makes me want to tell you about the speakers. Can I tell you about some
Yes,
of the
please.
speakers? I'm so
Absolutely.
excited.
So can you first, sorry, so can we rewind back, and just for the
Of
audience that's
course.
listening, date, location,
Yes.
times, what does that look like? And I would
Yes.
love to know about the speakers. That's very
Yes.
juicy.
So anybody who is thinking maybe, go to thephysiciancoachingsummit.com for all the details. The official dates are November 6th through 8th, with arrival on the 5th. So the 5th is when we will have our welcome cocktail hour. Reception, that's the word I was looking for, and our yoga nidra. And then we will have full day ish programming on Thursday and Friday. And by full day, I'm like, we're done at 2:30 so that you can go and enjoy your afternoon on the site. And then we have our evening activities. And then half day programming on Saturday. So 6th through 8th, arrive 5th, depart 8th. And it's in Carefree, Arizona, so you'll be flying into Phoenix unless you live nearby, and then that's where we're at, Carefree, Arizona,
Sounds like a
at
place I want to be.
Savannah.
Carefree.
I know.
I
I
did
could
ask
use
you
more
just before
carefree.
just before we started. Is that really the city it's in? Yeah, it's
That
literally
is really
Carefree,
the
Arizona.
city.
That's amazing. Yeah, so please tell us about the speakers and the lineup that you have, because I think that's one of the most exciting things when you go to a conference or an event. It's like, yes, I get to do things for me, and what else do I get to learn and dive into and, deepen in? So, yeah, really curious about the speakers.
So, just off the top of my head, I will share with you that one of our keynote speakers is Cesar Cervantes, and many people will recognize his name as a very well known TEDx speaker coach. He has a speaker and keynote program that helps book people for speaking gigs and also prepare them with their keynote or TEDx speech. He is dynamic and wonderful. He's been on my podcast before, and I just know that he's going to light up the room. We have another keynote speaker, Dr. Tasha Faruqi, who is going to be talking about her journey as a mom with anticipatory grief around her child who has a neurodegenerative condition. And she's just an incredible, profound individual whose journey needs to be witnessed and heard and shared. We have somebody who's going to be talking about political activism in medicine right now, how to be engaged and make a difference, because that is a moment that deserves our time and attention right now. Quite a few about self care. Somebody will be talking about our presence on social media. And we have this amazing photographer who's going to be documenting the whole thing, but also doing individual headshots for attendees of the conference. And that itself is going to be like such a value. She's kind of like part photographer, part coach. She's really been coached so much that what she has to offer and what she can bring out of her subjects is, I mean, I have so much excitement for where this is going to go. And who doesn't need a new headshot all the time, right?
Exactly. I was just going to say that in and of itself can actually be thousands of dollars just to get somebody who really can highlight all of you. And especially as a coach, you really want to have that radiant energy come out. And most photo shoots are not comfortable. They don't actually give you a lot of feedback. They're not really, into, so
Yes.
that in and of itself
Yes.
is amazing. And at the
Yes.
retreat, you're going to be glowing. You're going to be in your, juicy energy and flow. So what better way to
Yeah.
capture even candid pictures are so wonderful to be able to download after and use for content. So that's amazing that you have that there for people to actually be able to use that for their business as well.
Yeah. It's just going to be so, so good, Ralitza. I'm so honored to be part of it, and it's so fun to be dreaming it up this year. And because, leadership in isolation is not my favorite, I have two amazing co-hosts, Dr. Sheeta Shaffi and Dr. Vanessa Calderon. Both of them are ER physicians by training. Both of them are fantastic coaches. And both of them have been there every year that I have been going to the Physician Coaching Summit. And they're just both such dynamic leaders. It's too early to say details right now, but after the summit, there's going to be some exciting opportunities for people in the coaching community to keep growing together. And I should say, the theme of this year's conference is having our own backs. So I asked all of the speakers to think about how does this relate to us having our own backs. So taking self-compassion and self-regard one step further into like self-advocacy. So many of us are entrepreneurs, and I'm sure I don't have to tell you that many of us in the entrepreneurial space are finding some intense challenges these days. I have met with scores of physician coaches from all over the US and from Canada and Australia and beyond, and I am hearing the same story over and over again. I love coaching. Coaching is awesome. I'm not seeing as much enrollment as I once did or as I expected. And these are the things I've tried, and it's really hard. So how do we actually dig deep, have our own back, and do our own mind management and spirit and body management around those tricky times when life and its, promise of inconsistency
Yes.
Shows up inconsistently.
I love that. And I love that you actually reflected it right back to turning in, right? Because a lot of people, I think even coaches, we tend to go strategic first, and especially physicians, I think we tend to go strategic most of the time. So it's
Yeah.
so important to go in, and absolutely, I feel like it's always an inner game when we reach that like that glass ceiling or that growth edge of, okay, it's not quite shifting, it's not quite moving, something's got to give. And I think we, especially as physicians, have the tendency to actually go into strategy. What's the algorithm? Oh, it's not this one. Maybe I should apply someone else's strategy. And then it's like, wait a second. No, you already have the strategy within you because it's yours. It's like, how do you then step out? And I think a lot of it too is vulnerability. And that's what I'm learning. That's what's
Mm.
asking me. It's asking me to like fully surrender and be real and raw. And I mean, authenticity is my thing, but being raw and real with like the ugly parts, the difficult parts, the hard parts, the hurtful parts. It's putting it out there, and then I think there's a resistance as well for, well, I don't want someone else to feel shamed or blamed or whatever the experience that we might be sharing in the moment. But I do find that vulnerability, and especially right now, I think there's something in the collective that's really asking us to bare our hearts. So I love that it's having our own backs, because that is just such a powerful way to prioritize building our own foundation so that we do actually have that safety
A
within
strong
ourselves.
back, open front, right? Like when we
Yes,
have a strong back, we can open our hearts. We can be more vulnerable because we have our own backs. And,
absolutely.
it's calling me to share it. I don't think I was necessarily going to talk about this, but I've just opened this offering for a half day intensive on September 6th. And the my team, my very small little team of advisors, my business coach and my assistant, began to, do the normal thing of like, why we need to do these steps and these steps and these steps, which is they're very typical steps for marketing. And I was like, I cannot do anything that is outside of my absolute called integrity,
Yes,
even if it means not as many people show up.
yes,
It's okay. I'm not, I don't feel desperate. This is an invitation. I don't
yes,
need this. It's
yes.
just what I'm called to offer in the
Offer,
world
yes.
right now. And the
Mm.
right people will come. And if the right people are three, then so be it. I'm not trying to manipulate the world toward my will at all anymore. There are other things that I can do for subsistence. And like I I am happy with the outcomes as they arise. And that is such a hard lesson when you've come from a stance of hope and fear or demand or expectation or, even yuckier entitlement, like accidental entitlement, like, ooh, I put in all this work, therefore I feel I deserve this outcome. And it can be so tricky to get through that.
Oh, especially in this like master manifestor, we manifest everything. We're gonna manifest this full container, and it's like, well, wait a second, hold on. Let's slow down.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful to witness you in this space and this commitment to yourself. And it's so beautiful because it's a commitment truly to the integrity of your offering, and the true intention behind it will cause ripples. And I would just love to hold space to hear more, if you don't mind sharing a little bit about the container here.
Yeah, sure. Um, the podcast that I have been doing for almost exactly a year, it'll be a year next week, is called Solving for Joy. And so, just as authenticity is your thing, joy is my through line, which I understand as the confluence of meaning, alignment, and delight. And so, most of this past year's podcasts have been conversations with people from a variety of backgrounds. Of course, there have been a lot of physicians and quite a few physician coaches, but there have also been people who are artists and therapists and musicians and sculptors and authors and da 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 da. And it's been so delightful and inspiring to me to have those conversations and explore like the nooks and crannies of what are our obstacles to joy, what kind of fuckery do we engage in to exploit joy or to chase it in ways that are maladaptive? And then what are the ways where we actually just happen upon it and can sort of intentionally imprint it and know that it is not just happiness or gratification. It has a deep resonance. It has multiple resonances. It's not a top note like happiness. Joy is a much
Deep.
more complex flavor.
Yes. Yes, that
Yeah.
sounds so juicy. I'm like, oh, it's juicy. It's like it's palatable, but then it's like it's got this mystery behind it too. Like how far can you take joy?
Yeah,
That's
I feel like it's opening up to the sacred when we open up to joy. So my, half day intensive is going to be a 4-hour virtual container, and we're going to explore where does joy arise spontaneously in our lives, and if we are having a hard time finding it now, we'll look for memory of it and look for how did that provide meaning, alignment, and delight, and what are some clues for future joy maximizing? How do we celebrate when it actually arises so that we can imprint it and ground it and invite more in? And then when we see obstacles in the path, like how do we take those obstacles and like inquire around them so that they can transform into pathways also to joy?
oof, I love that. That sounds like alchemy for joy. I love it. I absolutely that sounds exciting. 4 hours. So it's gonna take what the investment of time is 4 hours, but the output is a more joyful life, like for life, isn't it?
Yes,
Who
the
wouldn't want
output
that?
is, you have inquiry questions that you can take into multiple scenarios in your life.
So you walk away
Maybe
with the
these
tools.
questions will sit with you forever. Who knows?
Yeah,
These
I
prompts
do
are going to be
find in these
valuable.
containers and in these times that whatever happens in those moments, it really does bring you get brought back into the container energetically when you face those blocks or those boundaries or those limitations, as you say, as you're navigating life. It's almost like you're back in the container. So time not being linear, but that's such a beautiful offering. So 4 hours of your life for the rest of your joy. That
Yeah.
sounds juicy. How can people sign up?
They can find it at the joypointsolutions.com website under services.
Joy Point Solutions. I love it. Is that your website?
That is my coaching website. Yes.
Amazing, amazing. I love it.
Yes.
That's so wonderful, Chrissy. Thank you so much for sharing that offer and also for sharing about the summit. I feel like there's something else around the summit because I can't help but wonder, for someone who is a coach, because I do find that a lot of coaches, we still live in silos a little bit. And most
Yes.
coaches don't actually go to coaching summits. So forget about physicians. I think we're typically used to going to conferences and in different spaces. Is this only for physician coaches, or is it for any coaches that coach physicians, or is it what's the ideal sort of client, or who are you
Yeah.
hoping comes in?
Historically, it has been for physician coaches specifically, but if you are somebody whose practice is dedicated to coaching physicians or clinicians, or perhaps you're an advanced practitioner, I would love to talk to you. I think that that is definitely something I'm willing to visit. So reach out to me. You can find me at Chrissie at chrissieottmd.com. And I would love to chat if this is calling you, because I'm highly motivated to get the people there who need to be there.
Amazing. Yeah, I have full body chills now. The truth chills are coming through. So I'm like, I know there's
I
someone,
love it.
I know there's someone
Oh,
listening, and they're like, I wonder if I could be there because I really feel called. So I'm glad that I asked that question, and you're so open to inviting anyone with that curiosity and that calling, because we really do need it. The physician space really does need heart-centered, really capable, truly gifted coaches to support us through this transition that's happening right now in healthcare, especially. The more heart-centered and open that we can be, the more we are able to actually prioritize ourselves, the more we, pour back into every space that we have. And as you said earlier, it is such an important balance. I think I highlight the self priority because I come from a place of obviously self neglect, and so the people that I tend to attract are also those people who need that encouragement. But absolutely, there is such a balance, and if you're not doing it for the right reasons, that self priority, then it can definitely get away.
yeah.
But thank you so much. Is there anything else that you wanted to share about the summit, or anything that you kind of wanted to highlight? Any other pearls that you wanted to bring into the space?
I just want people to feel inspired and resourced when they leave the
Mm,
summit. And I am honored to get to share about it here. And yes, if it feels like it's calling to you as an attendee, or if you know somebody who should be a sponsor for an event like this, please send them to thephysiciancoachingsummit.com. I would love to connect with them. Um, and I know it's going to be absolutely transformative.
I love that. Can you say a little bit more about the sponsors, just in case there's someone listening?
Mhm.
What kind of sponsors
Yeah.
typically, or what are you looking for?
Yeah, we have a small area set up for exhibitors and sponsors of well aligned companies. So, for example, we will have a financial services and business investment company, an online business management company. There are a couple of cosmetic, like healthy green beauty companies that we're talking
Amazing.
to. But I imagine like people who are providing services that physician coaches would use.
Hmm.
And our demographic, as I mentioned, is largely female, middle aged, many still practicing medicine, but these are women who are really savvy. They are thinking about business, they are thinking about self care, they are thinking about themselves in perimenopausal transitions,
Mm,
and they're thinking about care for their families. So there's many, many different directions that could go.
amazing. Yeah, I'm thinking even like nutrition, health and wellness. Like there's
Absolutely.
so many different,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, even personal care items,
Mm.
items for self-pleasure. And because like, I run the Sexy
Yes.
Successful Sisterhood and the mastermind, and it's all about like, we
Yes.
don't really talk actually about sex, but that intimacy with ourselves, that space that we hold to actually explore within ourselves. There's just so many spaces that could go.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a lube company going to be in the swag bag, y'all. We didn't even
there you
talk about the swag bag.
go. There's a swag bag. What?
There's a swag bag too.
Exciting. That is exciting. Can you talk a little bit
Yes.
about the retreat, the actual space? Because I don't think we talked about. You said it's
Yeah.
at an actual resort. Can you say a
Yes,
little bit about that?
Savannah, Civana. Their website is savannahcarefree.com. So it's in Carefree, Arizona, that's why. And it is just a beautiful, beautiful place. The rooms are so well appointed. The yoga studios are incredible. I remember taking some awesome classes. A yin yoga class was so, so great there. They have all the blankets and all the props, and I did a sound bath there last time, which is how I know it was fantastic. And if anybody has ever tried Watsu, this is one of the few places where you can get Watsu. So Watsu is a water-based body work. It's a combination of the word shiatsu and water. It was invented at Harbin Hot Springs in Northern California a million years ago. Not really, it was like probably the 70s or 80s. But as a former massage therapist myself, I did that a billion years ago before medicine. I am a big fan of various kinds of body work. So what it's like is you get these floats on your knees and legs and arms, and then the practitioner is holding your body in the water and just gently moving you for the whole hour or more, and like doing joint manipulations and stretching your body, and you are just like eyes closed, a rag doll being manipulated in the water this whole entire time. It's a private tub, it's in the shade, it's like there's beautiful transformative music being piped in, and when you are finally done, they gently like put your hand on the side of the pool and offer you some cold water. And I'm always like, I don't want to go back, I don't want to come back. It's like a rebirthing experience. It is the most transformative body work I've ever had. So if you end up coming, get on their schedule for a Watsu session if you can. It is incredible.
That sounds incredible. I do. So that's interesting because I do float spas. I used to offer them in Aruba where you have you walk into the ocean and you release all the things and you just float and the waves kind of do their magic. But this sounds so intimate, so deep, and so like literally you said manipulation. A lot of energies move through in that space, and when you're in water, wow, I can't wait. I'm really like I'm like 99% there. I'm like, I just have to look into my schedule and my vacation. But yeah, it sounds so good and it looks so good. I was just looking at the website. The food looks amazing. The environment looks so expansive and just so inviting. And I see that there's trails that you can go on and walk and
Yes, there's a labyrinth, there's desert. It's just like it's out away from things, so it really is just like this beautiful desert scape
amazing.
with, saguaro cactuses. Did I say that right?
The one to ask
It's
for that one.
super gorgeous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, that it looks beautiful. It looks absolutely amazing. And so, anyone that is interested in reaching out, do you mind sharing your contact information one more time just so we can catch that?
Sure. It's Chrissie at chrissieottmd.com, and that's CHRISSIE. My last name is OTT.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So exciting. Yeah, November 6th to 8th. Put it in your calendars, block off your flights. I'm sure if you want to stay longer and turn it into a whole, week vacation, you can book more time there.
Oh my gosh, that is the one thing I did not mention. We got the most amazing group rate for this place. So if you book, be sure that you have the group promo code because it is a great time to go early or stay late and get that rate
Love it.
for several days. It's a great deal.
Love it. That's amazing. That is so important. Big thing to remember. This is a business write-off. So if you're new into the coaching space and if you're kind of new into the business space, because I know not all physicians think with that mindset of, oh, wait a second, this is an investment into my
That's
business.
right.
But this is not a personal cost. This is all a business write-off. So
That's
think of
right.
it as an investment into your business, an investment into yourself, and an investment into every single client that you're going to be pouring into. Because it's really not just about us. It goes so much further than that. So, Chrissy, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for leading this. This must be such a big thing to take on among all the other things you're doing.
It
Um,
has been growing me. I will not not lie. It has stretched me in ways that I both knew it would and ways that I did not know it would. So I am grateful and daunted at the same time.
I love that you're going into it. Taking messy action, as one of my fellow coaches or my friends say, doing it unprepared, as others say, and just doing
Yes.
it. And you do it so well. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you
Thank
for sharing.
you.
And yeah, really excited. I really hope to see you there. I'm trying to figure out into my head, like, I have no vacation days left for the year. So I'm trying to just figure out how I'm going to work this, but
That's
we're
right.
going to
We'll
figure it
find
out.
where the yes is. The yes is in there somewhere. We're
That's
going to
right.
find it. You could work
I feel it.
remotely in the afternoons. That's what one of our attendees is doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to have to figure out a way to work it because I really feel the call. 100%. Thank you
Oh, thank
so
you for
much,
this
Chrissy.
generous time, Ralitza. It's been wonderful to be with you and your audience. I appreciate it so much.
Well, thank you for being here and yeah, for all that you do and all that you are when you're doing nothing at all. Thank you.
Likewise. We need to hear
Take
that as threes.
care. Yes.